Okay, this is the third time starting this video. The first time I didn't have the microphone turned on. The second time, after about 5 minutes, I realised I was talking rubbish. The first attempt, by the way, with no microphone was just over 6 minutes long. So I've now spent about 11 minutes doing nothing. I've checked on my monitor here that I am actually in the shot and I am in focus. I might be better not in focus, but anyway. So this is about cameras. Yeah, explore with Jeff. So what am I exploring today? Yeah, cameras, not the kind of exploring I intended. So I just thought I would just tell you about my camera dilemma that I've been having for the last maybe 2 or so years anyway. And now I'm moving more into video and away from photography. It's even more of an issue. The other reason for doing a video about cameras is that I might get more than 2 or 3 views. You never know. Does anyone watch these? I can think of 2 people who do, or maybe 3 people. I need some subscribers. What am I going to do? Does anyone want to watch this kind of thing? Maybe they will watch if I do one about cameras anyway. So I've got a Nikon Z6 Mark II, which I really like. It's a brilliant camera. It's my first full frame camera. So I had a Nikon D500 crop frame camera, which I really did like. I waited for years before I was able to afford that, and I really liked it. But once I started to use this new camera, I was going to keep both, but I just really liked this one. It was so different to use, so much nicer, even though it's got some things that aren't as good about it, like the autofocus, and you don't get the reach with a full frame camera. But it's, yeah, I couldn't go back to the D500. I tried, but I hated it. It was loud and clunky. It was really strange, such a difference. So I sold that quickly, and that was about 2 years ago. But over the last, most of those 2 years, I've been moving away from photography. I'm now almost completely doing video. Now the video quality of this camera is very good, but it's only 8-bit. And I know there's lots of discussion and arguments about whether you really need 10-bit or more. It's tricky. It's very difficult because for an 8-bit camera, the results can be fantastic. I may put some examples of my own stuff somewhere in this video, and you can have a look. So if anything pops up, that's why. And it's all taken with this camera by me. Yeah, if you get the settings right when you record it and you haven't got too much contrast, like a bright sunny day or something, then 8-bit does fine. But there are times when you need more. You need more wiggle room so you can do your adjustments in post without the image falling apart. So the other problem with this camera is the autofocus, and people often argue about that, whether it's really that bad. I find it's quite good. When it works well, it's very accurate, but it is slow and it loses whatever it's focused on very easily. On my D500, there was a group focus option. One of the advantages of that is that it would focus on the nearest thing. So if you was tracking a bird or something, it would keep focus on that. But with this camera, it doesn't do that. And I can't remember all the details of the focus modes now because I've sort of given up bothering with it now. But there is a mode that is supposed to be equivalent of that, which is supposed to keep the lock on the foreground subject, but it's never worked for me. It will go to the background far too easily. So yeah, for stills it seemed to be fairly good, but for video work then it's just not good enough. And I've seen demos of how good the Sonys are at autofocus and tracking, and it's just so completely different and so fast. Now, people say that the Nikon Z9 autofocus is really good. Now, I've never tried it, and I don't know if it's using the same system but just a beefier processor. I don't know. But anyway, I can't afford a Z9 and I don't want one. It's too heavy, too big and too heavy. If anything, I want something smaller. So anyway, I've been considering changing, not upgrading really, but changing from this camera to a Sony. But that means setting up everything Nikon, and I've got 5 lenses. I like all of them a lot. I don't want to sell them, but I'm doing more video than ever, and I really want that 10-bit color, and I want all the better autofocus. And I thought of I'm going to forget what they're all called now. The Sony A7 Mark IV, I think. Have I missed a letter? I don't think I mean the A7Z. Sorry, S. I definitely don't mean the R. It came out in around October 2021. So it's not a new camera anymore. It's odd, I thought it had only just been released, but I must be confusing it with something else. It would cost more than £1,000 on top of what I would get secondhand for this camera. So it's a lot of money that I don't have, so I would have to sell my lenses. There's no point keeping old lenses with the Nikon lenses when I don't have a Nikon camera anyway, so I would have to sell the lenses. But I wouldn't have much money left over to buy new Sony lenses with. I maybe could get 1 or 2 cheapo ones. I don't really want to do that. But what am I supposed to do? Do I just accept that's how it is and I have to wait till I can afford new lenses? Or do I keep this camera? I don't know. Recently I've been shooting in the 8-bit video, but doing it in a 8-bit log profile, which someone in one of the forums has talked about a lot, and it really works very well. And people say you can't have 8-bit log. Well, you can, but it's not going to be as good as 10-bit. But I do find that it works quite well, and I can get some really great results. Yeah, it's difficult. In the meantime, I bought, as you've seen if you've watched my other videos, I bought an action camera, which happens to be here. Is it going to focus on this? Probably not. Anyway, I've got it set to focus on my face. Yeah, the light's not good for this, is it? Anyway, this is a DJI Osmo Action 3 with the door hanging off. Why? Whoops. I was charging it. I don't remember disconnecting it. I must have done. Put that back. Right. Yeah, this is nice. It's all right. It comes with a nice selfie stick, which is very embarrassing to use, but I've used it on some of my videos already. So I took it out today, walked around trying the slow motion feature and hyperlapse, which is looking really good actually. It's not great in low light at all, but it's only got a small sensor, so it is what it is. It works. It's good enough for, well, for YouTube it's certainly good enough. For other stuff, yeah, not sure at the moment. If the light's good, then maybe. Now, there are other cameras I've looked at, and I cannot remember all the model numbers. Is it a Panasonic S2 or S something Mark II? There's something that's come out recently. I don't know. And what's the one that there was a G5 and now it's a G6, which is well known for having fantastic video. But then you've got the problem of lenses. However good the camera is, Sony have got a lot of lenses available and a lot of them are quite cheap. So that is one of the good things about it. It's just more popular. But oh, it's really difficult. I was even looking at the Sony FX30, which is crop frame. So yeah, I don't really want to go from full frame after the last, how long since I've been doing photography, since 2005 roughly. And all that time I didn't go from APS-C to full frame until 2 years ago when I bought this camera. And now I'm considering going back to APS-C, which I don't really want to, but technology is better than it used to be and the crop sensors are much better now. But it just doesn't feel right to me. And I really do want the low light capability. I often find myself shooting in low light situations and I don't want to lose that. And this Nikon is really good for low light video. So is the Sony A7 Mark IV good for low light? I haven't actually looked into this yet because I'm not sure I'm even going to go down this route. It's got more megapixels, which I don't particularly want. It's got 33, I think. This has got 25. So logically, that could mean it's not quite as good in low light, but it doesn't necessarily follow. So that's something I haven't looked into. So what are my options? I would like it if Nikon would come out with something else that had a completely redone autofocus system and did 10-bit decent high quality, not low noise video. And then I could just change the camera, even if it cost too much, and keep the lenses. Now, yeah, then I thought of the Z9. It's just overkill. I think that's about £5,000. That's double what I would be able to pay. I can't afford it and I don't want it. It's too big and heavy, so that is out of the question. Now there's lots of rumours about a Z8 and a Z6ii, sorry, Z6 Mark III or a Z7 Mark III. I don't know if any of those will appear, and also a possible Z90. Is that to replace the old D90? I cannot remember. Or even a Z500 to replace the D500. I don't know. No one really knows what's coming next, but I think they're going to have to bring out something because they have to compete with other manufacturers, and all the newer cameras now, the professional kind of level or prosumer level, have got 10-bit video. If you've got any suggestions, please put them in the comments. Tell all your friends to subscribe to me. I need some subscribers. I could do more videos about cameras. Whatever. Give me some ideas. Does anyone want to hear me talk about myself anymore? So I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.